Welcome to the Bladtcast, and if you're watching the video version right now, you are staring at the Bladtcast. I am Christian Blatt. Next to me is the one and only @WillSterling _
Hello.
And
only because we're in LA, we get to share a
we get to share a Chiron there.
Yeah, Chiron.
Yeah, it's an on-screen graphic, on-screen lettering, and our man in the field, our brother from what's the word? Oh, a Commonwealth far away, a Commonwealth long ago. He was born long ago in a Commonwealth far away. The one, the only, Mr. Jeff Duray. Yeah, just I realized we haven't done that on the podcast in a very long time.
It's been a while.
I felt like the best time to do it would be
I miss DJ Tanner.
Oh boy,
I really miss
I do miss DJ Tanner. Yeah, that
I was watching Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping, and I realized that I totally stole that from that during his catchphrase verse. One of them is DJ Tanner.
Really?
Yep.
I don't remember that.
Oh,
great.
That movie has been,
but that's not surprising.
That movie,
so clever.
That movie's been recommended to me a number of times, and I still
really
have not
funny.
seen it.
Yeah, it is very funny.
I think you'll understand that I was maybe a little cautious when it was first out, but I've heard so much about it that I every time it comes up, like right now, I'm like, well, fuck, why haven't I watched that yet?
Yeah, it's exactly what you think it would be.
Yeah,
and it's worth it.
That's great, because that is definitely what I want.
Yeah.
Well, we are assembled here because we are the Bladtcast Squad, and we are going to talk about the Suicide Squad, where I feel like we can make a very big blanket statement that we'll all agree with. I haven't asked these gentlemen what they thought, but it's a bit better than the other one, right? Than Suicide Squad, the movie? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think? Am I going out on a limb with that statement, Jeff?
No, not at all. I mean, I'd say it's the second best DCEU or whatever they call it movie.
Oh,
what's number one for you?
I still feel like I walked out of Wonder Woman feeling like, oh wow, versus this was fun. And in fairness, I watched Wonder Woman in a theater. I watched this at home. So, I can't say all things were fair or even, but at the same time, I still felt like that movie was more impactful. But I also think, again, that was much earlier on, before like 5 years of multiple superhero movies a year. So it's like there's just so much more to weigh it against at this point in every way.
I forget that the first Wonder Woman came out. I was still living in the Park La Brea, and we saw it, and then I told you that I was getting divorced.
Yeah, while we were recording the podcast episode
17.
Yeah. So we were recording the episode, and then we had to take a break because someone that lived at that place, who has been on the podcast in the past, but shall not be again. No, had to dry. They had to dry their hair. So this was in the afternoon, and so we stopped recording. Okay. And so there's a break, which was of course not recorded and not put in the episode. While we have this break, mid talking about the Wonder Woman movie, like, yeah, by the way, I'm getting divorced. Yeah, I'm like, wait, what? No, this is a joyful moment.
It's over. Anyway, I agree that Jeff. I don't know. I'm a sucker for Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman. So
sure.
I'm a tornado of DC fans.
But I think that you're going to agree that the first Wonder Woman was very well done and better than the second.
It is way up there.
Whenever we talk DC movies, there is one man I like to have with us that isn't the three that you see currently, but the Raging Rhino himself. And John, forgive me, I forget your last name. I've known you for years. I just completely forget.
And last name is Nolan.
Nolan, yeah.
So he's the Jonathan Nolan.
So
you're right.
The Jonathan Nolan,
right?
You wrote Westworld. Congratulations.
If you're familiar with Nathan Fillion, he has a show called The Rookie on ABC.
Sure.
The character's name is John Nolan.
Whoa.
So are you Nathan Fillion right now? And is this an elaborate Nathan for you sketch that we didn't realize we've been a part of for years? This is amazing.
Well, the funny thing is his character's father's name is the same as my father.
Chris Nolan.
It gets even creepier. Like, how do you know this?
Well, we were just making the outlandish, wild, crazy hot take that the Suicide Squad is an improvement over Suicide Squad. Is that a crazy hot take, or would you agree with that?
I would
Rachel,
absolutely
Rhino?
agree with it. Yes, it is infinitely better.
Yeah, I think that most important was that it was fun, and if there was anything that was a logic flaw, they didn't try to hide it. They were just like, yeah, but look at this giant starfish. Isn't it kind of like a kaiju? And so it's like the Suicide Squad versus whatever his name was.
One of my favorite parts of that was when they show Starro coming up. There's a wide shot of people looking out from a balcony, and they say, "What the actual fuck?" Speaking for all of us.
Yeah, Will. So I think we're in agreement on that, and let's go around and just expand upon those feelings. Like, I'm starting from a place of like, it's over. Boy, that was fun in a very teenage boy way because of just the amount of unnecessary gore.
It is a teenage boy movie,
Yeah.
and I think that that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, and that's not to say the movie is just fine, but there is something about the film where, like, yes, to me when I'm watching it, I'm thinking of any movie. Like, is there more room for theme or emotion or other things? I'm like, of course, but there was no point watching this movie where I was like, oh, God, this is bullshit. That never actually like came into my mind, because I think James Gunn is very good. And honestly, this is the Guardians of the Galaxy that I have been waiting for my whole life.
The R-rated Guardians of the Galaxy.
I
don't disagree with that.
When the first Guardians came out, everyone fucking lost their minds, and I was like, this is just okay. Like, I was like, it's fine. I honestly think that the first Guardians, by my standards, is just fine. Guardians 2, I actually don't think is very good. And this movie comes out now.
But that circles back to how you were fighting with your wife before.
Number 2, Guardians 2. We missed the second one. We missed the opening.
You missed the flashback to a Dairy Queen in 1980.
Oh, God.
Boy, that might have set the
tone.
That
would have changed the whole movie.
Probably would have. But anyway. So,
this is the James Gunn Guardian of the Galaxy I've been waiting for. So,
and this is
I got it,
Yeah, and
obscure DC characters and blood.
Thanks to Twitter outrage and being fired from Guardians of the Galaxy 3, we got this movie. And best case scenario, we will also get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3
and a holiday special.
Yeah, that's right. So we're gonna get all of that.
And Peacemaker series.
And the Peacemaker
series. Which, by the way, we'll just jump to that. Oh, and if for some reason you've watched or listened for almost 8 minutes, and you haven't seen the movie, we are going to talk about everything. This is not a light spoiler. We're just going to dive into all the spoilers like we always do. So, yeah, you can watch it in your home if you have HBO Max, or
just get it.
Yeah, you could just So even if you
trial.
Well, I think they make you pay for a month now. I don't think that they give you a free month right now.
A month will cost you a movie ticket.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So get it.
Yeah, it's cheaper than getting Jungle Cruise from Disney Plus for $30.
Won't see it. I know you have a decent.
It was fun. I went with my 6-year-old, and it was a perfect movie.
If I had a 6-year-old, I feel like I feel the same.
If you had a 6-year-old, I'd be worried, because where was he the last 5 years? Sorry, what were we going to say, Jeff?
I was going to say I haven't seen Jungle Cruise, but I refuse to see it because I'm sure that they didn't include the racism towards indigenous people that the ride is on.
No.
Yeah.
And so I just think that, it's just.
Yeah. No, Jeff actually insists on racism towards indigenous peoples. That's why you believe that the Lone Ranger movie was one of the best movies of the 21st century.
Wow.
I just go on Splash Mountain for the commentary.
Oh my God.
I go on it because I like to get wet.
It is amazing that the Jungle Cruise ride is still exactly the same.
Well, they've changed it. They have changed it since Disneyland reopened in like April. It's not the same.
Hey, we got a lot of cancellations going on.
They knew the movie was coming, and they took some time over the year that it was closed to make some upgrades.
Okay,
but
so no more shrunken heads.
No more shrunken heads, and that's what I'm told anyway. When I went with my kids, I didn't want to waste time. I didn't want to waste the 15 minutes on the Jungle Cruise ride, but I'll waste 2 hours on the Jungle Cruise movie.
Unless it's a statue of The Rock's tiny head on his fucking huge body.
Look, I've never been a huge fan of The Rock. I've never smelled what he's cooking, but when I see him in a movie, Pain and Gain, he always delivers.
Well, Pain and Gain is great.
He's fucking great.
But the shtick overall, I'm over it.
No, I enjoyed that. But anyway, we're not talking about Jungle. We talk more about Jungle Cruise. Believe me, we can.
Sorry, one more question. Is Jungle Cruise Tom Cruise's brother?
Yeah. Yes.
Jungle Cruise.
But for obvious reasons, they don't talk about it very much.
Hi, I'm Tom
Actually,
Cruise.
he has that actor William Mapother, who was on Lost, is his brother because his name is Tom Mapother. His name isn't Tom Cruise. So there's a guy who looks vaguely like Tom Cruise. Look it up if anybody saw Lost. This isn't crazy.
It's Tom Cruise's brother.
This is Tom Cruise's brother. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna just to tidy it up so that we can move on. He could be his cousin, but he looks like him, and he's a direct blood relation because Tom Cruise's name, believe it or not, is not Tom Cruise.
Whoa.
Tom Cruise is also not in this movie.
You know, I'm related to Britney Spears. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, let's move on. It's true. Facts.
You're
Facts.
related to Britney Spears.
Correct. My great grandmother's Murda Spears, same family from Arkansas.
I'm like, if this is a bit, I'm waiting
Not
for
a
the
bit.
payoff. It's not a
Not
bit.
a bit. I will call my fucking grandma right now and prove the story to you.
And
I'm
if you call her, she'll be like, "Oops, you did it again."
No.
I'm related to Count Dracula.
You're so toxic, Christian.
We were talking over that, and I heard it, but let's make sure everyone hears it.
I said I'm related to Count Dracula.
Yes, I believe me, I don't want that.
The Count.
The current Count Dracula. So, John, thanks for just sitting there and humoring all of that. So
I know to stay out of the way.
Yeah, that is usually you're just listening anyway, and you can't get in the way. Today you are able to do that, and this is not the first time you've been on. We appreciate you taking the time. So I want to start from sort of a character level because when you messaged me after you saw it, you were excited about some of the characters in this movie that you thought you would never see on the screen. So let's kind of start with some of those that were most impressive because other than King Shark is his name, right?
Yeah.
He's like one that I was familiar with, and obviously Harley Quinn, but I didn't know a lot of these characters. I'd heard of Rick Flag. I'd heard of some of them, some of them characters, but I didn't know a lot of them. So what were some that really you were like, oh my God, I can't believe we got, maybe starting with King Shark.
Well, actually, King Shark was on Flash. He was in the Flash TV series.
Really?
He was, yeah.
Wow.
They spent like all their budget for that season.
Yes.
The last 3 minutes of an episode for King Shark to be in.
It was actually a cardboard stand out of Jabberjaw, if you remember from Hanna-Barbera cartoons. Yeah.
They turned him playing the drums into him punching, so it's just like looks like a.
Well, that's right. They were in a band.
Of course he was.
Everybody
Everybody
like
was.
Dune Buggy.
Yeah. Oh,
Remember
yeah,
Dune
Dune
Buggy?
Buggy. Yeah. It was,
Anyway,
so other than King Shark,
John
Yeah,
is right.
you can pretty much take any of those characters that came out in the first 5 minutes of the movie and put them on my list. It's my list of characters I just never expected to see in live action, which is currently topped by Mr. Mime from the end credit sequence in Shazam, the little caterpillar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who would have thought that would ever be in
I
live?
love that Mr. He's got to be part of number 2.
Yeah. I mean, he's still
gonna
up there.
poop.
Mr. Mind. No, Mr. Mind's.
Oh, number 2, Shazam. I mean, you said he's gonna be part of.
Fury of the Gods.
Yeah.
He might be, but geez.
So look, a character like Weasel is exciting to see. By the way, nice portrayal by Sean Gunn.
Yes, and Sean Gunn is actually Calendar Man in that movie as well.
In Shazam.
In the Suicide Squad.
Oh, in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, he's the guy that makes fun of Polka Dot Man when he's coming out of his jail cell.
Oh,
nice.
Okay.
Also, Polka Dot Man seems like is that that character's backstory, or did they do a little
they actually
hard reboot on him?
Yeah, no, he in the comic books, he's just a guy that pulls polka dots off his suit and they become things. It's really, it's James Gunn called it the stupidest villain ever created. I have to disagree. That's Condiment King.
Who is it?
I thought Condiment King was going to be in this movie, but
Condiment King?
I mean, why not, right?
Does he do something dastardly like put mayonnaise on a hot dog?
Yeah, he squirts like
Ketchup on one side and mustard on the other.
Oh
Yeah.
God,
That's it. That's
I
the
thought for some reason that in the casting, Condiment King was going to be part of this. I thought I read that somewhere.
That was just your dream journal. You wanted him to be part of it.
Dear Lord, make Condiment King part of the Suicide
I heard that he was actually pitched by one of the writers' dry cleaner.
Nice.
So who are some of the others? And who's the character that Pete Davidson was?
Blackguard. Yep, that's
Okay.
another obscure character. And I honestly kind of expected Pete Davidson to have a little bit more to do in the movie, but yeah, that was pretty quick. My wife was actually pissed off that they killed off Davidson and Fillion so
Well,
fast.
yeah. I mean, first of all, he's also the superhero, the King of Staten Island. I mean,
Exactly,
I
yeah.
forget that.
What a great hero.
Yeah,
But-
at the end of the movie, she looked over at me. She said, "They kill off Davidson and Fillion, and the fucking shark stays alive."
That's true. The shark does hang in there. Yeah, when I first saw the trailer, there were a few people that I thought would be killed quickly, and Pete Davidson was one of them. I actually didn't, obviously I didn't have any way to figure out the story. I thought Peter Capaldi was going to be in it for a couple of minutes,
Right.
And so we got a lot more of him than we expected.
Yeah. And the Thinker, that's another character that was in the Flash TV series as well. He was one of the big bats for I think season 5 or something like that. But but I mean, as far as like the craziest characters, other than Starro, of course, the detachable kid, or as he was originally known in the comics, Arms Fall Off Boy.
Oh my God, I love that name. That's right up there with my favorite Spider-Man villain of all time, Paste Pot Pete.
He was a
Arms
league
Fall
of
Off
superheroes
Boy is
region.
amazing. I love that.
Pete is so great.
I love Paste Pot Pete,
Yeah.
but his name is Paste Pot Pete.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
That little bit with him was probably one of the best comedic beats of the movie. We're just like, okay, let's see what happens when you just
Yeah, and it's like the arms don't even move quickly; they just kind of meander along the beach. And,
Will, as our resident feminist, despite
boy.
the actual women we have on the show, am
Sure.
I allowed to refer to that as bitch slapping, or can we?
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
so
we can
call
say
it that.
that.
Okay, because I didn't know if that was the
No, it's
bitch
fine.
slap rapping with your cocaine.
I don't
tongue
think we
to
can
get
get
nothing
canceled
done.
for that,
Yeah,
so
I
we'll
don't.
say-
Okay, because I love that was his powers, that his arms come off and he just bitch slaps these military men.
But it's not even bitch slapping, because bitch slapping actually to me requires like and you're like
it was
it was
more,
just like
yeah, it was like butterfly wings flapping.
It
It was
very
more like a
really-
sissy fight.
yeah.
Sissy fight.
All right, but see, now that's going to get you canceled because
Sissy?
Sissy Nation is very strong and proud. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Yeah. So, what are a couple others that jump out, and then we'll kind of go through the movie as a whole. I wanted to focus on the obscure in here.
Mongal, which I really didn't. I wasn't even familiar with. I was familiar with Mongol.
I was gonna say, if
sister.
Mongal is part of whatever race or species that Mongol comes
Mongol.
from, there's no way that bitch dies in a fucking helicopter fire. Like she would be
Exactly.
the
Yeah,
most
Mongol took on
supremely
Superman.
powerful.
So I mean,
Mongol is so incredibly powerful that if Mongal is of the same species or whatever alien race that is,
But
she
Well,
would be a fucking badass.
Yeah.
You realize the most important thing about Mongal is that she is only 75% as powerful as Mongol. So it's
But
just
even 75% of Mongols, she would still
yeah,
be
she
a fucking
shouldn't be
badass.
burning
Yeah,
up in
that's
a
fair.
helicopter crash now.
yeah.
No,
I agree.
yeah.
But
yeah, but that helicopter was made of adamantium, which is
I see.
See, that means
Kryptonium and adamantium all at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was-
Well, and as we go through, I'm sure more of them will come up. And I was thinking that this movie didn't need to have any heart to it. And sometimes when you try to cram it into a movie like this, it might not work. I thought that between Idris Elba and Ratcatcher 2.
Yeah.
Wonderful performance as Ratcatcher 1 by Taika Waititi. I'm sure, Jeff, you appreciated that.
One
I didn't
scene
know.
stole the whole film.
I didn't know that was him until the end of the movie.
And by the way, he gives a tour de force in Free Guy, Taika Waititi.
He's in that?
He's a
Ooh.
huge over-the-top character, and it's amazing.
I love that
And-
people just like, hey, could you swing in for a day and
He's-
shoot some
No,
scenes?
it's probably a week or two, but
I think-
he's
I
not
think,
Ryan
I think
Reynolds.
he was also the voice of Starro.
Oh,
Was he?
that would make
Mhm.
sense.
And the guy who played John, the guy that was working for Waller, apparently he did the motion capture for King Shark.
Oh, cool.
The big guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and starting, I guess with Waller, I think that obviously it makes sense that she is our connection to this concept of the Suicide Squad, but and you have to put the crowd pleaser that is Harley Quinn, and I think she has some fun stuff to do in this. But there needs to be no connection to the other movie. You don't need to. Sometimes you'll get people that feel like they need to explain why people from the other. But this, I like to think of this as the Suicide Squad Tokyo Drift Will, thoughts?
You know what? That's a very apt comparison.
And I've never seen any of those movies, but I knew what I was talking about.
The end of Fast 9 today.
Oh,
this morning. And I was thinking about Tokyo Drift because some of those characters came up, and there's a little reunion. It's really sweet. Bad movie, but
I'm sorry. Without Will Smith, it could be Suicide Squad Resurgence.
But
yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
That's a great point.
But I do think that's Tokyo Drift is the because maybe we'll get 9 parts into the Suicide Squad, and suddenly Will Smith will be there, he'll come back. You never know.
I mean, if he does another Suicide Squad movie and it's directed by James Gunn, and he doesn't say "Welcome to Earth," what are we all living for?
What if we get after another Suicide Squad Earth?
With Jaden also.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He's baby.
Well, he's the next Karate Kid. Oh no, he wasn't the next Karate Kid.
He's deader shot.
Deader shot.
What is Idris Elba's character's name?
Bloodsport.
Yeah. I'm a Bloodsport. And he's phenomenal. Everybody knows that, I don't have a lot of man crushes, but all of my man crushes are all him. And Will Sterling. But mostly
what about
Idris Elba. He was very funny in this.
Too veiny.
Yeah, the veins are really distracting.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Super distracting.
Yeah. But
I don't really care for this wrestler Rock, John Cena whole thing. I wish there were more like regular action people in movies. They're too silly. You know what I mean?
So you want the previous generation? Oh wait, didn't the credits said Sylvester Stallone was in this?
Yes,
he was the voice of King Shark.
Oh, I wanted to actually see him.
Oh no, he's a voice of King Shark. Right. But he was in Guardians 2, so you go back.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that does make sense.
And according to Ramu, he'll be in Guardians 3. So.
Well, I like that.
I produced his daughter's podcast for several months. Never got to meet the guy.
You didn't get to meet Rocky?
That's all I wanted.
Yeah, of course. That's why. I'm sure that's why you said yes.
Well, they're very nice, but I never got to meet them.
Well, Jeff, let's just sort of go through and get some big picture thoughts from you about the movie, what you liked, and if there's anything to like, because there's things you can definitely nitpick on, but there's not really a lot where I'm like, I could have done without this. It didn't need to be 2 hours and 12 minutes, but it didn't feel like that while I watched it. What do you think, Jeff?
So I'd say I would have loved to have delved into Starro's motivations a little, because it was a little unclear and ambiguous at certain points. Like, I was wondering if he had no intention to harm them. He was just trying to be like, leave me the fuck alone. I just wanted to, and he kind of said at spoilers about just wanted to watch the stars. Like, that was perfectly content doing that. Yeah. So then it doesn't, we understand some level of revenge, but it's also like, okay, so how old is Starro? How long has he lived? He wasn't infecting anyone else. That's why he was just floating as a smaller starfish earlier. Like, I get that you don't necessarily need to answer every single question about Starro, but because ultimately we felt the need to stab him in the eye after he'd been tortured for 30 years. I just wonder if we could have found out why, if that was really necessary, right? Like, maybe you could have just had something where it was like, oh, the pain of all that shit he went through was too much, irredeemable now, he'd rather die. Like, you did him a favor or something like that to make it make a little bit more sense. And I think you could have done less of the comedic beats to have had more scenes like that to keep it from turning into a 3-hour movie. Because the comedy was funny and it was there, but there definitely didn't need to be as much of it as there was.
I agree. The Starro thing was like, I don't like it when there is this just like villain that exists just as a prop. You know what I mean? And it's like Peter Capaldi's like, we were doing experiments for 30 years. And like, Jeff, you bring up a good point where it's like, that's really fucked up. You know what I mean? Like,
sure,
this thing has been in captivity for 30 years. They've just been torturing it. And it's like possessed a couple people who are all corpses, but they're living through Starro. Now, in comics lore, Starro is a very fucking powerful, bad guy. But this Starro is not that Starro. Now, if they gave him a couple lines where he's like, I want to control the world and do, like, it'd be silly, but it would fit in this version of James Gunn's like Suicide Squad. It'd be like, cool, that justifies Harley Quinn spearing his eyeball and swimming in his eyes. and rats biting the synapses in his brain. But there wasn't any of that. There was no actual justification for Starro being a villain. It was just that he was captured and then tortured and then needed to be killed because he was big and he was angry and knocking over buildings.
Well, I mean, he was, starfish advocate here. I would say that he was
Not a
going
butthole advocate.
Well, yeah,
A butthole advocate.
look, anybody who knows me knows I'm a butthole advocate.
Oh, listen, I am too.
Okay, great. That's why we're sitting so close together. But the the idea that he would have taken over all of these people and taken over that island. I mean, that's why he had to be stopped. Now, he didn't want to be left alone. I think that 30 years ago he just wanted to look up at the stars, and I think he's very angry now, and he's taking it out on to rip Peter Capaldi apart. Was fine. But to take it out on these people that actually didn't have anything to do with it, other than they're, I guess, the same species.
Well, it creates a specific narrative for James Gunn to tell the story that like the U.S. government was responsible for this torturing of this innocent space being who's like a mind control thing. Where in the comics, Starro is a fucking evil, bad thing, but in this movie, and Jeff, I kind of didn't really think about it until you said it. I was like, yeah, that's really sad. That he was just tortured for 30 years and then we murdered this beautiful giant creature. What a shame.
Beautiful giant creature who was going to kill thousands, if not millions.
Well, he was tortured for 30 years and he's giant. What is he supposed to do?
Well, right. Who knew that this was going to turn into a debate on the death penalty?
Well, I don't know.
What were you going to say, John?
Well, just to kind of go off what you guys were saying. I mean, he comes out of Jotunheim. He's free. He says, "This city is mine." And then in his death throes, he says, "I just wanted to be among the stars." Well, which is it? Are you the conqueror, or do you want to be in the stars? Like, give us a side to choose here. Do we want to, defeat the conqueror, or do we want to get this stupid fish back in?
Are you Genghis Khan or Copernicus? Don't make that a translation.
A better closing line for Starro would have been, "Sorry, I just had gas."
The closing line.
It was a butthole thing. I knew it.
It was a butthole thing.
John, is this the level where you feel like they did the character wrong, or you're like, you know what, it was kind of cool to get Starro? If they have to, bend the story to fit this movie, it's okay? Or do you feel like, oh, great, now we wasted Starro and it's not like we can get him again?
Yeah, that actually was. I started rewatching it today a second time, and I'm starting to feel a little bit better about it. But my initial reaction was like that this was kind of a waste of Starro for just exactly what we've been talking about. I mean, which is he? I mean, they keep advertising him as Starro the Conqueror, but first he wants to take the city, then he wants to go home.
Yeah.
So it does feel like a little bit of a waste, but it's Starro the Conqueror. It's a crazy gonzo, 60s comic book bad guy, that's now in a modern day movie. So, it's going to be crazy one way or the other.
Question for you and Will. My understanding of Starro is basically like you'd have to obliterate him for him not to come back to life, like basically regenerate or something.
Pretty much.
I was wondering if that was coming, like the fact that, okay, so you stabbed him and ate some of his brain, but he could probably just, maybe a smaller Starro would just emerge from that giant Starro or something like that.
Because all the tiny little Starros are still out there. Yeah.
In fact,
so what you would need to do is you would need to nuke that island, basically.
Did you say Jarro?
Yeah. Isn't Jarro like that? Isn't he a piece of Starro?
That's Jarro is Scott Snyder and the death metal and Dark Knight's death metal and metal.
And he's like attached to Batman, and
they kill Starro's helping them, and then he dies, but a little tiny piece of him still lives, and they grow him in a jar, so they call him Jarro, and then he attaches to Batman and calls him Dad. And wears like a Robin costume every once in a while with a tiny little starfish. It's like stupid, sweet, silly bullshit.
Does he wear the Robin
when you see
slippers?
that,
he wears this like little mask and like little like pants for no reason over his starfish legs. But that Jeff, you're right. I mean, like they didn't kill Starro. Like out of all the starfish that still exist and all that stuff, like Starro will come back super easy. You got to incinerate everything else.
In his first appearance, I think they defeated him by covering him in lye. I think that's how it happened.
In the 60s, that would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Well, in 2021, we're all covered by lies.
Yes.
Thanks.
There you go.
Hey, I think that's important to point out. So all right, these seem like fairly minor things. Is there anything that was nagging at you while we were watching? Will, I mean, so we're talking about Starro.
No,
because we can. I'd like to spend most of the next half hour going through like favorite stuff, but I wanted to kind of get some of this out of the way.
Yeah.
If there's anything.
No, actually, and this could go in the favorites bin, but I was curious how he was going to balance the amount of actors he cast and the amount of characters that were going to be in this movie.
Sure.
And then after the first 15 minutes, I was like, oh, I see.
that moment where it's like, all right, team 2,
Yeah.
how are you doing? Yeah.
But I actually don't know these characters very well. Like Rick Flag, I know, okay, obviously Harley Quinn, I know very well. And Captain Boomerang and those other characters. Like, I knew the characters in the first Suicide Squad much better. Deadshot and Diablo.
Dancing Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Killer Croc.
Killer Croc.
Or
exactly.
Enchantress. I knew she had the same name as a Thor character. I had my wrong Thor character. We had Dancing Enchantress.
But those characters I knew much, much better in terms of regular comic book appearances when I was reading comics.
Sure.
I don't know who Bloodsport is, funny enough. I don't know any. I honestly don't know any of those characters.
All you had to do was look in his eyes and you would know.
Outside of
Culpa. That's really all you needed, yeah.
But I love that James Gunn was like, hey, I'm going to just pull all these obscure 60s, 70s characters, like when they were like had their run for 4 years, and put them in a movie, and DC was like, fuck it.
Yeah. We weren't doing anything with who was anybody
Polka Dot Man?
Was anybody familiar with Javelin before this?
I have no idea who the fuck that was.
You were.
Actually,
So
I had his first appearance in Green Lantern.
nice.
Oh.
All right.
Yep.
Do you still have it? And is it bagged and boarded and sent off to CGC?
Unfortunately, most of my comic book collection got destroyed.
What?
A few decades ago, yeah.
Was it by Starro?
No, but it was, it was by storm.
So wait, you're talking about Aurora Monroe from the X-Men. She was so angry that you had so many DC comics. She just brought a storm. All right. Well, look, I mean, that
I
adds
knew
up.
it was jealous lover.
So
She's a wind rider for a reason. I'm sorry. Jeff and John spoke at the same time. Jeff, what did you say?
I said I knew it was a jealous lover.
And John, what did you say?
so she doesn't look a thing like Halle Berry. So
It's true. No, she does not.
but yeah, Javelin. I remember the end of the first issue where he debuts. It's like one of those dad jokes. He's trapped Green Lantern in this yellow bubble, and Lantern's falling to the ground, and he says, "It's not the fall that kills you; it's the sudden stop at the bottom."
Oh.
I like that.
So he was
That's
German
that kind of
too.
character.
Okay.
Yeah. And how
Did he
long
call
ago
him
was
Mr.?
this?
I'm sorry.
What'd you say, Jeff?
I said, did he call him Mister?
Mister.
Hey,
Listen,
Mister.
What?
Listen, guy.
What? How long ago was this that character was introduced, John?
Oh my
Roughly,
gosh, that'd have to be mid '80s because that was
Okay.
early on in the Dave Gibbons run on Green Lantern.
What was Dave Gibbons? Was he German then too?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of that whole Aryan thing.
Got it.
Achtung, baby.
Makes sense.
That's all I got.
Aryan villain. Yeah.
All right. So, I think that you can kind of sniff out an obscure character when you see them, and there were plenty. I think that this seems like the kind of the fact that they needed the Suicide Squad for this mission. It seems like it's definitely a dirty hands, and if we lose all of our operatives, it's fine. So the overall concept of it, how they get Bloodsport into actually saying yes because his daughter shoplifted. I guess.
It's a stretch.
Little stretch.
If we wanted
Little
to
stretch,
pull on
yeah.
it and actually really, we could shit on that supremely.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, but the movie.
But I think,
Yeah.
well, I think it was important that same stupid stretch happened because it was motivation for her staff to finally hit her in the head with a golf club, right?
That's
Like
true.
Great.
those
point.
were sowing the seeds for, okay, Waller, we've had enough of your shit.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did any of them survive? Why didn't Waller just kill them all? I mean, she killed her whole staff in the first movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, she was ready to kill. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Her staff. You know what? I mean, it's unspoken, but it's you get the feeling that they know too much, and she does glare at them. So
she's fucking evil. She's very bad. Yeah.
You're talking about in the comics, she's very
in
bad.
Yeah.
I mean, she was very bad in both of these movies.
Waller in the first one is more like the comic book animated Waller than this one. She fell prey to some jokes. Her silly staff who was making death bets on the Suicide Squad. Then they realized they had enough because the little girl shoplifted and they hit her with a golf club and she got knocked out. They just okay, that's fine. But she's actually a fucking evil individual. She's not a good person.
Right? Yeah.
So she should have killed her. She staff, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. She should have killed her own staff. I mean, being stopped short of killing the Suicide Squad for saving lives and actually having a heart for a moment.
Fuck them. They're criminals.
Yeah. No.
That's what America would tell you.
Yeah. I mean, that's what this movie will tell us about the criminals and whatnot. But I think that the mission makes sense. I found that what was Peter Capaldi's character name? He said
the Thinker.
The Thinker.
Yeah.
So the Thinker, little quick to cooperate and let them in at every turn. And I felt like there was some sort of I just kind of want to see how this all plays out. He wasn't enamored with this new regime clearly, but I think that I was expecting some kind of double cross that we didn't get. Why is he just, I'm just going to drive this in here instead of, driving it off.
My guess is his supposed ace in the sleeve was he knew of the Americans' involvement, which he then exposes them to when he gets there. So he's like, oh, you're really going to stop me? This isn't even my fault. The people you work for were complicit in this.
Right.
So I want that makes sense why he's like, I mean, we work for the same people, idiots.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, that does make sense, and I think that it's very easy to make a movie where you say that America's the real bad guys, but in this instance, this isn't this is hard to believe, and I think it really lends itself to this story. Did that aspect of the storytelling bother you at all, John, or was it I think we probably would be conducting experiments somewhere like this that we've never heard of?
Yeah, that actually that didn't surprise me, and I think the whole thing with the Thinker was really more for time. It's if you start doing double crosses, then that just kind of adds to the movie, maybe kind of slows it down.
That's fair.
But I mean, also it kind of hit me earlier. Okay, so Amanda Waller sends a bunch of villains to take care of a problem that the government created. That's actually kind of the simple plot of both movies, the first one and this one.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's hard to remember what the plot of the first one was, but
I don't remember what were they doing? Why were they?
They're going after the Enchantress because Waller let her get away.
So they were going after the Enchantress.
Yeah, this was Waller's direct mistake. Then the second one was just something Waller wanted to cover up for the government. But you also have Harley Quinn using somebody else's weapon to go after the bad guy. So I thought
what's funny? You mentioned this on the podcast before, and I said let's not talk about that, but I'm going to talk about it now.
Okay.
I had hip surgery in spring of 2018.
Yeah.
I was having a hard time. I needed to write something. I had ideas. I wrote a Batgirl script.
Yeah.
And a Birds of Prey. Batgirls and the Birds of Prey script. Amanda Waller. I was like, how did Joss Whedon's Justice League make a teen movie that sucked so bad?
Oh,
I was like, it can't be that hard to make a teen movie from the ground up. James Gunn did it in Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like, this should be able to exist. And so that characterization of Amanda Waller, I was like, let me utilize this. And using kids for metahuman research and a cover up and all that stuff, that was all in that story. And I was like, see, this is why James Gunn and I are on the same page, because he fucking had the same motivation for it.
So yeah.
So what I'm saying is he stole my idea. We're going to go to court.
And it reminds me. I think you sent that to me, and I never read it because I can't believe I have.
It's the best movie that you've never seen, Christian.
I mean, there's a lot of movies I've never seen, but it's the best movie.
It's the best movie that's never been made.
I see that. I might be honest.
Is Amanda Waller part of Cadmus and all that stuff? I feel like I remember in Young Justice, there's another secret government. Whatever.
Cadmus
is more of the science kind of side, the Bad Star Labs kind of people.
Right.
The ones who meet Superboy.
guys.
Cadmus is the bad Star Labs, but then they started making Star Labs a bad organization also. So I'm confused. I always thought Star Labs was the good guys, but now they're the fucking
science is not your friend, Will.
Clearly,
Polka Dot
Man's mom worked there. That's what I was going to say. Which I did think was, definitely a gag that we got multiple times. But when we did get the giant Starro version of his mom, I'm like, all right, I know we didn't need more of this, but this is kind of and that was a fun character to include. I think that he has the line early on, which I think is in the trailer, where it's like, we could all die. He's like, I hope so. So I think that to me there's about the right amount of humor. I think you could probably shave a little bit off of it if it got you down to a tight 2 hours, but sure. I'm not complaining about it. I liked just from a filmmaking standpoint, sort of the transitions to the different sections of the movie. It would be like written on the beach, or it would just be just some of the ways that on screen we got that. To me, that's not something we've gotten from James Gunn before. I don't, unless I'm just not remembering.
I feel like I've seen that style in movies before, just not from James Gunn.
Yeah, no. So
I feel
think
that's Wes Anderson style.
You're right. That's a totally
the way the subtitles go on the screen in a fun way.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's fun to read subtitles now.
It's always fun to read subtitles. What are you talking about?
People who want to remake foreign films.
Yeah.
They're like, just watch the original movie. Read the fucking... They're like,
I don't
want to make an American
Come
version.
on. I don't want to read
like another round.
Oh, by the way, that everyone that Starro possessed spoke English. That was very convenient.
True.
I did. That
was
was
a super smart alien being.
Well,
he changed the language,
so he knew that the audience was.
I would assume he's the one talking if they're dead, and he's been dealing with Americans since he started dealing with humans.
True.
All right, Jeff, just poking holes in all my complaints.
He's not
that's
poking holes.
I work for James Gunn, and I've got him right here.
James Gunn PR.
So there's a number of I was talking when we started the blood and the gore. The Harley Quinn escape sequence is very superfluous and unnecessarily gory, but I loved it. When they take out the wrong camp of refugees, also unnecessary, but also fun.
Right.
The sort of the back and forth between Peacemaker and Bloodsport. I think that they're smaller bullets. That I think that that's fun throughout, and I think that I don't know. It's a lot of fun in a very gory way, but in a way where it doesn't bother me. I think it definitely lends to the spirit of it, and I don't know that you get to make a movie like this. The idea of getting a Guardians of the Galaxy like this will never happen because Disney has said they will make R-rated Deadpool movies, but they're not going to make R-rated Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Well, and it'll not be under the Disney banner of Marvel. Yeah.
What were you going to say, John? Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say, I feel like this is just basically James Gunn style. If you take away the 2 Guardians movies, this is all his other movies are like this. Like Slither is the first one that really comes to mind, where it's like he loves doing kind of pranky, gross out effects like gore. That's his favorite shit.
And what were you going to say before, John?
I wasn't, but just kind of riffing off of that. Hopefully at this point now, Warner Brothers will have said, okay, we're just going to let our directors do this the way they want to do it because they obviously know better than we do.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they've learned something with, the Snyder Cut was done specifically for HBO Max, and they spent all that money on it. But I think that in general, fans are happier about that version. And your average moviegoer, you're not really trying to keep them. It's like politics. You need to keep your base. And then you have to be able to broaden the message a little bit to win some more people over. So you got to keep the base, and I think that this will do that. But what it does for me is it highlights what a huge misfire and a big steaming turd Wonder Woman 1984 was. Because you'd almost feel like they had some kind of momentum, and every time the things seem to be going well, there's Shazam was a lot of fun. I think Aquaman was was fun and mostly well done.
I love that movie.
I
It's
know,
so corny, but that's what I'm a sucker for that.
I know that Jeff's girlfriend laughed at some of the dialogue. Some of the
Stop
dialogue.
funny.
Oh, it's not like Suicide Squad.
Fuck up, Natasha.
It's just like this movie.
That was the best part of watching that.
Yeah, it really was, actually.
Stop laughing.
And so the end credit scene, I was going to mention this earlier. I actually thought that was a different character. I thought that was Rick Flag.
It was very clearly John Cena in a hospital.
Hoping it was going to be.
I thought it was Rick Flag, and I was disappointed because I'm like, well, Joe Kinnaman was RoboCop.
I wish it was a Rick Flag.
Yeah,
I'm very angry that he died.
But so we're getting a Peacemaker. We're getting a Peacemaker series in 2022 for HBO Max.
Maybe it'll be Robo Rick Flag.
Maybe.
Maybe he'll come back as Pacemaker.
Oh, I didn't bring the bell. 45 minutes in, I realized it. Sorry, that was definitely a bell moment.
But you're right. I was kind of ticked off that Rick Flag died as well, especially since he was such a mainstay in the comic book. You figure if anybody is going to stay alive, well, Harley Quinn and him.
Sure, of course.
And he was so wasted in the first movie, and actually they made good do with him in this one, and then he fucking died.
Yeah,
I was like,
they did such a great job of improving his character to kill him off. But
I also just love Joe Kinnaman as an actor, and I want to see him in more.
Yeah. What do we feel Harley Quinn in this movie compared to Harley Quinn in Birds of Prey? I think that the early reactions were that people were happier with her in this. I feel like she's largely consistent with Birds of Prey. What do you think, John?
I mean, I don't know that there's a ton of difference. It's Margot. She had better things to do in this movie.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, obviously she was better in this movie because that movie just had nothing. It was like, they were like, let's take characters nobody knows, have them do nothing, and make it all look not that good. And then we'll be really disappointed when it doesn't make more money. What the fuck?
How many episodes are there of me? Yeah, how many angry episodes are there of me ranting about Birds of Prey? At least two.
Yeah. I think it was
better in this movie.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the idea of the Birds of Prey. Just they're heroes, not villains, and
they missed the mark with that. What do you think, John, about Harley Quinn in all the movies that she's been in? So she's been in 3. Right, just the 2 Suicide Squads and Birds of Prey, or am I forgetting one that she was?
Yeah, in? that sounds right. Okay. Yeah, and so, I mean, this was I think her best offering, and I think Margot Robbie in general. I mean, I think she's done a good job with what she's had for each movie. I did like a lot of her facial expressions.
That's usually me that happens to.
Oh no.
Yeah. That's
Joe Kinnaman RoboCop.
Yeah, Storm trying to take him out for a second, and we'll bring him back in a moment. But I don't know. He's let's see if we'll see if John comes back to us. But he looks like it's bogged down for a moment. So we'll give that a whirl. And so I think we're in agreement that that this is. I don't know. Do you feel that you liked her better in either of the other 2 movies, Will or Jeff? Harley Quinn.
Yes. Well, she's good. She's to me, funny enough, as a silly character, she's like the Hulk, where you realize is an integral, incredible piece of an ensemble cast.
Okay.
Where you're such a powerhouse. You're so larger than life. You're such a big, she basically character-wise crushes buildings. You know what I mean? She doesn't as a person, but that's who Harley Quinn is. She's just a fucking explosion everywhere. And so to say we're gonna make Harley the lead of a movie, it doesn't really function because she's just too nuts. It's too all over the place. That to put her as part of a team it's the same with Mark Ruffalo's I do not want to see a solo Mark Ruffalo Hulk movie. I don't. No, I've seen enough Hulk with Mark Ruffalo as part of the team.
And you won't because they'd have to work with Universal to make it.
Right,
so
exactly.
You can't do it, But I also agree that...
But we've seen so much of him as a team player. I've gotten so much Hulk, and he's been so great in all these movies. Yeah. This is perfect. That's kind of where Harley lives for me outside of the comics. She can be a lead in the comics, but in a movie, it's too much.
I haven't read enough Harley comics to say she doesn't have stories, but they've only ever tried to tell one story in all the multimedia stuff I've seen with her, and it's I've broken up with the Joker, and now I'm going to move on. And it's so you bog down all the possibilities because all it is getting over a stupid heartbreak. That's always the base of where we're going to start from, and she's. Margot Robbie, I think, is a great actress. That's why I think she's won an Oscar, didn't she, for something?
Well, I think she was nominated for one of those.
No win, though.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. But either way, obviously she's a good actress. She's been acknowledged.
Tarantino made sure we saw her feet in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Right. He really made sure that we got to see every toe. And
isn't it creepy to know like he has such a big foot fetish, and then you see actors who end up in his movies and you see their feet and you're like, God, he watched her in multiple films and was like, I'm going to cast her in my movie and I'm going to get those feet. Like, that's not fucking weird.
Yeah.
That's really fucking weird.
No, look, I
he don't disagree. Watched Birds of Prey, the first Suicide Squad. He watched Wolf of Wall Street. He was like, I'm going to see that lady's feet and I'm going to put those feet in my movie. And she was like, that's fine.
My understanding was that John, you lost your internet, but you're on the phone, so so that works. We can do it West Wing style, and you can just do a handheld and a walk and talk. Well, let's in our final 10 minutes or so here, let's talk about so Sex, this baby. One works. We'll see how much this movie, how much they consider it a success. Going to be really hard to gauge because of the nature of the dual release.
They're all going to sue.
Oh,
by the way, Team Scarlett Johansson. I haven't even seen fucking Black Widow, and I don't even want to see it.
No,
she should sue Disney for as much fucking money as she can get.
Warner Brothers was smart in that they gave Gal Gadot a shit ton of money and like, look, we're going to put this out like this. Right. But here you go. Right. Here's what we estimate you're going to make. And then, they probably sweetened it a little bit more. And she's like, great, I'm a team player. I'm going to come out and promote the movie.
Yeah.
And Disney did not do that. So now they're wondering if what's her name? The one who played Cruella. I hate this is when I get old. Emma Stone. So is Emma Stone going to sue for that movie, which they did that kind of release? And are they going to really smell what The Rock is cooking if he feels like he got cheated out of some money?
He wants to run for president.
And let's just all hope that The Rock does run for president. No, John Cena's VP. No, I think we need that. All right. Well, agree to disagree.
He'd be a terrible president.
Of course they would. But anyway, So, but anyway, the point being that success for this movie might be hard to quantify, but in general, the reaction has been very positive. People who were seeing it, back a couple weeks ago as there were screenings. So it seems like people are happy with it. So what's next, and what do you hope is next? I'll ask you first, John, and then clearly Chuck wants there to be. Chuck is chiming in because he wants the next movie to be Crypto.
We're going to mute our mics, John.
Yeah, John, you go ahead.
John, you take your moment.
Well, there is a Legion of Super Pets in development, which I think is a cartoon based on like Crypto and Streaky and other pets in the DC universe. Shazam 2 is coming up. Black Adam and I think Flash are all filming. So we got that for DC. And me, of course, I'm looking forward to all of them. But probably of the three, Flash, that's the first comic book I ever bought was Flash. So that's the one I'd be most interested in.
You muted yourself.
I muted myself. Am I remembering my minutia correctly? And your first Flash was issue number 275. I just wanted to see if I was
5.
Yeah.
Yes.
My first Flash issue was number 91.
But that's a different series. Yeah.
I
remember that because my first X-Men is 176. What were you saying, Jeff Duray?
I said my first Flash was outside of Wendy's.
But you made some friends that day. So.
Hey, Wendy! I got your Frosty right here! Wendy! Look at it!
Yeah, so I mean that's some of the stuff that they've got. I think it's positive. You know what's coming. He was mentioning Shazam 2, the Flash movie. I think people are really excited about.
Listen, we saw a trailer for a Michael Keaton action movie.
We sure did,
and I was like, Michael Keaton made this action movie to get back into fucking
Batman shape. I don't doubt it for a second.
Yeah.
What of the things that are coming down the pike, Jeff? What are you most excited about? Do you hope that DC has turned a corner and that Wonder Woman 3 won't somehow be worse than Wonder Woman number 2?
Well, why would I hope it would be worse? Like,
no, we hope that it won't be.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying, who would hope for an even worse movie than that?
Jeff, do you hope it's worse? Do you hope it's worse?
Yeah, because I kind of do.
Failure. I just hope that they give Tommy Wiseau directorial free reign of
87.
Oh hi. Hi, Diana.
A few years into the future, not too much.
So in this one, Diana cannot catch football. She's not. What a butterfingers. Oh no! And so we will have professional football player Tommy Wiseau come and help her catch the ball better, like a woman cannot do.
Yeah. But of the ones that we know are coming, I think that the Flash is most intriguing because we might get multiple Batman, and we might also get a Spider-Man movie with multiple Spider-Man at the same, within the next the rest of this year.
We're basically going to get the DC and Marvel version of the same movie.
Yeah.
Which is very fascinating.
Which I think seems like a cool story.
Both going into the multiverse.
Yeah. It's like how the year that we had 2 giant asteroids hit the Earth movies, and the year we had 2 Christopher Columbus movies. It's just great. Let's just get the same movie.
Wait, what was the other Christopher Columbus movie?
There's one called 1492, and then another one I forget.
A New World.
I think it was just.
You went underwater with King Shark there. But. Yep. Now you're back. So, Will, out of those projects, what are you?
The future of DC of comic?
Yeah, of these movies that we know are coming for DC EU. Shazam 2, Flash. I guess
Black Adam. The jury's out on Black Adam
because it's The Rock, right?
I know. Yeah. I know. Yeah, I'm not super. We'll see. I'm more excited for Hawkman in that movie than I am for fucking Black Adam.
Hawkman's gonna be in it.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
Shazam 2, fine. I think Flash, yeah, because I just Michael Keaton Batman, come on. And Supergirl, you see her in that costume?
Yeah,
it looks fucking great. Yeah, I'm so excited for that.
So I think that in general, it's probably safe to assume that with the first Suicide Squad movie being a bit of a disaster critically in particular, and yet they still made another one, I would be shocked if we didn't get another one of these. And James Gunn's got his next project for after Guardians 3.
The DC executive said he's welcome back anytime.
Yeah.
Which means I think he has free reign to do pretty much whatever he wants. Because I think the DC and hopefully Warner Brothers have accepted, hey, we have no fucking clue what we're doing, and if we had our own version of Kevin Feige, we would be great. But they never tried to find that person.
No, but yet Zack Snyder. But Zack Snyder's a producer on this movie. I saw his name in the Zack and Deborah Snyder listed as producers
because it technically lives in his universe, so he probably has to get credit.
All right, that's fair.
But they could have hunted down that person. They thought it was Jeff Johns. Turns out Jeff Johns is only good at writing comics. Very good at that, but not good for film and television. So, they need that. Listen, I'm on call at any moment.
Yeah, because you want to be that guy.
I could build the universe in fucking. I could sit down in 30 minutes and be like, "This is what we're doing. This is how this goes. We're gonna put it all in here." Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, look, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but I'm about to. That people creatively who have adapted properties felt that Stan Lee, very good at writing comics some time ago, but when you try to put them on the screen, he got in the way. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about 20, 30 years ago.
Sure.
So
movies were bad.
But he was a hindrance in making some properties that were successful. Animated. Yeah. No, I think Avi Arad was the one who was able to be like, yeah, just ignore what Stan says. So I'm sorry, were you about to say something, John, before we wind down?
Well, no.
Even if you weren't, we were very impressed.
Jeff has a thought.
Okay. Jeff?
I just want to see Martin Scorsese direct a DC film.
Honestly, it's a matter of fucking time. He shadowed superheroes, and now he's gonna come back around and be like, you know what? I make a DC movie. I'll make a Wildstorm movie.
Oh yeah. Hey, if he made a Spawn movie, it might actually be pretty cool. But
Martin Scorsese's Spawn. I can't fucking imagine what that would be. It'd be 4 hours of just some dude just wallowing in nonsense, mafia nonsense, and then for the last 30 minutes, he's actually Spawn.
Robert De Niro as Spawn.
Yeah. You fucking.
I'm spawning here.
I'm
spawning here.
Are you a Spawn?
Yeah.
Who's a Spawn?
John, you have the mantle of the only person that I've ever talked to who saw Joss Whedon's Suicide Squad in the theater 7 times.
You mean Justice League, not Suicide Squad?
Oh yeah, sorry, Joss Whedon's Justice League. But we've had the Snyder Cut for a while. How many times have you watched the entire 4-hour Snyder Cut?
4 times.
Okay, so 16 hours. So that tops the amount of hours you gave to Joss Whedon.
Do you? And I need to just yes or no. Is the Snyder Cut better than the Whedon Cut?
Yes.
Thank you.
Will you?
Need a yes or no?
Will you ever watch
yes
the
or
Whedon Cut again?
Only to show people the difference of what they.
That's right.
It's like breaking down the Zapruder film. It's like, and if you look right here, there's the shadow. The shot couldn't have come from the grassy knoll. Yeah. Well, John, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. If people want to find you and your podcast, where do they do those things?
RagingRhinoPodcast.com and on Twitter at RagingRhinoPod.
Well, John,
final thought.
Go ahead.
Why does James Gunn hate birds so much?
It's a great question.
True. He does kill a lot of birds.
But
I read that he watched Alfred Hitchcock's Birds as a kid and shit his pants in the theater. So.
Well, I did like that the bird somehow got its revenge on Michael Rooker's character with the long white hair.
Oh yeah.
So that was nice. Yeah. So yes, at Raging Rhino Pod. Thank you, John, and we look forward to interacting with you on the Twitter sphere as we talk about that. Thanks again, John. That's all right. I know. It's all right. I was intimidated by his mustache the whole time. I wish I had that mustache. I mean, yours is all right, but
it's coming in.
Yeah, it's coming in nice. All right, so that is our time here because, as Will points out, the only time that we stay close to an hour is when I have to pick up my kids or something, and that's exactly what has to happen. It's the only time we do a tight show.
Also, you have responsibilities. You're a fucking
father. I try to be at least a semi-decent father in that I'm not going to take my kid to see this movie. This right here, this is Bladtcast 448. I think that we'll come up with an occasion for the three of us to get together for 449, and I've got big ideas for 450.
450.
So we'll talk about that next week because I don't know what's going to come.
Are we ever going to have a universe reboot? What if we fucking DC or Marvel that we went back to number 1? Like an issue.
But I don't want to do that.
You know what I mean?
Some podcasts do season 2.
But by the time we got to issue 500, we were like, never mind. It's
I was 40 legacy numbering.
Yeah.
Call that.
Yeah. He's gonna reboot it, and then he's gonna replace us with Felix and Lucy.
Well, that's gonna be the ultimate Bladtcast.
That's really
the Felix and Lucy cast.
It'd be
Jeff,
Black Crew.
The Black Crew. That'll be the difference. But they'll spell it like Motley Crue with the U with the umlaut over it. Yeah. Jeff, do you want people to find you on the internet, or are you just living your life?
Please stay away from me, you pervert.
At Will Sterling _ at Christian DMZ. Thank you to John and to everybody. Actually, nobody who joined us in the chat, but that's all right. There were people watching throughout the episode.
Fuck you.
Well, maybe they wanted to. They realized that we were talking spoilers. Just because you close the door on the motivation report doesn't mean I don't still want to
listen. We watched an R-rated Suicide Squad movie, so I feel compelled to say the word fuck over and over again.
Well, now you're going to stab someone directly in the heart, and we're going to get to see it.
Yeah.
But we appreciate everybody. Thank you, and we will see you next time on the Bladtcast.
Oh, wait.